3, 2.
Just yell. Can you imagine someone who doesn't know that it's silent being on like a movie set? So I was on this podcast called Don't Get Him Started with Kyle and Richie. It's a really good app. If it's the latest one, Don't Get Him Started. But he asked me a question I'm going to ask you guys. Which of these 3 things are you most excited for and why? And then I'm going to add something. Which are you least excited for?
Are you going to
here are the 3 things.
Yeah, I was like, are you going to give us the 3
Nope.
things? Oh, okay.
Listen to the pod. No, I'm just kidding. So here are the 3 things. Avengers Endgame, Game of Thrones final season, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, final Star Wars movie in the... It's not a trilogy. What do you call 9 movies?
Non-trilogy?
Non-trilogy.
I don't know.
The final film of the 9-age or whatever.
The 9th film.
Yeah. Someone let us know what the orgy
the
of
ninth
films.
film, yeah.
It's an orgy of film. What the actual
orgy of
term
film.
is?
A 9-way.
A 9-way? Okay, let me imagine a 9-way. Okay, so I'm over here and you're over there.
You can be Attack the Clones. I can be the Phantom
I
Menace.
think it's just called, I don't know. I was like, I think after a couple people, it's just called an orgy.
Movies.
Yeah.
After 9 movies, just called movies.
It's a saga.
But yeah, so what are you guys most excited for? I'll ask that question first. Game of Thrones, Avengers Endgame, or A Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars?
Easily Star Wars. But it's
Why?
just because I've been with Star Wars for forever. And I think I'm more invested than the other ones, for sure.
I can go ahead and probably echo that. I would say I'm kind of right off the bat. I think I am more excited for Star Wars than any of the other 2. I think second would be Game of Thrones because you have invested way more hours in Game of Thrones.
And
That's true. Time-wise, Game
Yeah.
of Thrones took almost a week of
Yeah.
straight watching.
Oh, okay. I was
70 hours.
I don't know. Like, I think I'm really, really excited for Endgame, which is,
Yeah, no,
I think
feel like
everyone
we're-
is.
Which is
I feel
the
like-
basis of this whole podcast.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like we're downplaying
And
Endgame.
here's what I'll
That's
say.
not it at all.
That is my answer. I think Endgame is, for me, something that I'm
Most excited for?
right now, and maybe it's because it's in a couple weeks, but
Yeah.
I'm most excited for
Game
it.
of Thrones is straight up tomorrow.
Yeah, and,
From when we're recording this.
yeah, and I think my reasoning for my reasoning for Endgame being the one I'm most excited for is they have. I think part of it is
Because our podcast is about...
part of it is the promise that the ending of Infinity War gave us, where this film has to be on some crazy other level. And I'm excited because the Russo brothers always take these really complicated concepts like Hydra or Civil War, and they pull it off like every time so far.
Oh my gosh, the hammer put you off.
Yeah, they pull it off. So I'm excited for that. With Star Wars, I'm more scared than excited, I think.
Cool, don't go watch it with us then.
Hey, fuck you, okay? I'm watching it right
You're
now.
not going with us.
I gotta start watching.
You can't sit with us.
But I love Star Wars as well. But so what? Wait, you know what? Do you want to answer the least excited for, or no? Or do you think that's
Definitely not. No.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We won't answer that.
We're
because
excited for all of them.
We really are, and it's
Yeah.
Game of Thrones is in the middle here, but we have a Game of Thrones podcast coming out the same day this is coming out. So after listening to this, listen to Countdown to Spring because that's a Game of Thrones podcast.
Winter, it's called.
Huh?
I'm just kidding. It's
No,
called
Countdown
Winter.
to Spring, because we assume that after this, and the name
Summer.
500 Days of Summer. Countdown to 500 Days of Summer. Why did you leave Robert Downey? Oh, not Robert Downey.
Joseph Gordon.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. People with 3 names. What's up with that?
Oh, you know what? I know. I was listening to the Don't Get Him Started podcast that you were on. Apparently, you call Kevin Feige Paul Feig.
I know. Yeah.
Holy shit!
They're the same level to me of
Cinematic.
of superhero.
You said Paul Feig and then Paul Feige.
Yeah.
I was like, his first name isn't even Paul.
They have the same last name. They're related, right? Okay. Anyway. Yeah. Well, let's get this.
10. Just kidding.
Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, an Avengers podcast. If this is your very first episode, might we suggest the entire first season?
Stop now and go back.
So the very first season, we watched every single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie leading up to Infinity War, but we already also talked about Captain Marvel. This season, we're talking about where all these superheroes are, but we also dive into their history and how they impact the MCU as a whole. This week, we're talking about Doctor Strange.
The Doctor is in, baby.
And the Doctor
Calling
is...
Dr. Strange. Is it Dr. Love? You know?
Really? Oh, okay. Seriously. I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
no.
He has a theme song?
Yeah. I had to explain myself after.
Speaking of strange, my name's Emmanuel.
I am Andrew.
Hey, I'm John.
And we're all a little weird.
What?
Huh?
People are strange. You can do a lot with that strange word now.
We can.
The Strange Brew, that movie
Strange things
yes.
happening to me.
Stranger
Toy
Things.
Story. We sing a lot on this pod.
What?
Huh? So before we get started, and before we start talking about Doctor Strange and Benedict Cumberbatch and Dormammu, we are really excited for Endgame to come out. If you have listened to season 2, we want to say thank you. DM us.
Slide into our DMs.
Slide into our DMs and give us your address. We'll send you a postcard. And just so you know, our spoiler-free review for Endgame will come out on Friday, and our spoiler-full review will come out on Monday after the film comes out. Because we only have one more episode left, so super excited.
Right, after this.
Crazy.
Yeah,
We're
so
getting-
excited.
we're-
I'm getting so excited.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm so excited.
Yahweh.
Hey, sorry. You know Yahweh is the Jewish way to say God? Yeah. The more you know.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I shouldn't pull on this thread, but okay, cool. I'll trust
You're
you.
yanking, baby. So yeah, let's talk about Doctor Strange. He is a part of the new group of Avengers.
Right.
He when did the movie come out?
Actually, that's a good question. Fuck, it's been a while. It's been a couple of years now.
In the 2000s,
I
for sure.
think you'd be surprised. Maybe I think it was 2016.
I think it was in the 2000s.
Yeah.
2017? No, 2016.
Yeah,
2016.
2016. Yeah, so that not that long ago. But yeah,
It was
so
like last year.
Doctor Strange, I remember him in the cartoon as being a little bit interesting
You
because
saw him in the cartoon? When the fuck was
I think
it?
he was probably in a Spider-Man episode.
Maybe.
yeah, I'm trying
Yeah.
to remember. He has like that. I mean, he
think
has
you're
a
making it up.
What color is his cape in the cartoon? Is it
Red.
Red,
Oh,
still.
okay, no, I'm thinking of someone else then. I'm thinking of Justice League. Who's the guy in Justice League who has like a
Dr. Fate?
maybe
Like the gold cape?
no? I think it was purple. Oh no, I'm thinking of Martian Manhunter.
Oh, nice.
I was like, wait, I remember Doctor Strange, but he was a different color, and he was from Mars, and his cape was different, and he could phase
he was
into people.
green. He was green.
He was the last of his kind. What was his name? I'm kidding. Martian Manhunter, which I think would be one of the coolest DC movies if
they would
could
actually make
get
it,
around to
yeah.
it, baby. But yeah, let's talk about Doctor Strange. What's up with Doctor Strange in the comic books?
Ooh-wee.
So Doctor Strange was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko back in 1963. He appeared in
63.
Strange
Good year.
Tales. That's
Doctor Strange
yeah.
Tales.
Seems that's where the name
Appropriate.
came from. Stephen Strange is apparently a surgeon who a very famous surgeon and a very obvious he has a
Which is really a sign of that time, because during that time you did have famous surgeons who were like separating like conjoined twins and like really famous surgeons.
Medulla oblongatas.
Because right now we don't really have Dr. Oz end of list for a lot of the most
famous doctors.
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. Ben Carson is a doctor,
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh shit.
so I mean, I guess he's super famous.
I guess
but, yeah,
for different reasons. I guess
it's a very different fame, though. They imply that he is so rich and so famous because of just
because of what he
Dr.
does.
how good
yeah.
he is.
Ken
Right.
Jeong?
But nowadays, I think that's just what we expect from a surgeon. Like,
Yeah, like if
Please
you,
be good.
If you suck, then like you should find a different
get
profession.
ready for
Yeah.
some malpractice lawsuits. So it's kind of crazy because that's probably at the time you said 63.
63.
Like
yeah.
that's a very dated thing to have a guy who performs a surgery and it's probably on the nightly news and on newspapers.
Right, yeah.
That like, hey, this dude,
So Strange apparently he has a car accident and then injures his hands, and he is no longer able to do surgery, and this frustrates him. He spends his entire wealth trying to fix his hands, and he has no luck until he goes to the Himalayas, meets the Ancient One, and and then becomes the
Himalayas?
the Sorcerer Supreme.
Doctor Strange in the comic books, does he kind of have his own world? Because he has this interesting power where he can do a lot more than other superheroes.
Powers.
So it seems like he doesn't really play on the same plane as everyone else. Is there
Literally.
different dimension?
Doctor Strange, from what I remember, the stories that I've read, I haven't read very much actual like single Doctor Strange issues or like or storylines. He's usually like a supporting character in other Avengers comics. He to me feels like one of these. I mean, shit. One of the strangest.
I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Like he's kind of like a magician or like a wizard type of like character in the comics. Way more.
It's like the Justice League Dark also, where like they fight the threats that the Avengers can't.
Yeah, so like it's like other dimensions, demons. Yeah. I know that Doctor Strange and
things that we're oblivious to.
Right,
he knows that they exist.
They exist. Yeah. It's usually like the comics give off a very weird and like mystical feel, a little bit more so than the movie does. We'll talk about that here a little bit later, but
there's a lot of objects that have mystical meanings.
Right, exactly.
And
he has two trademark mystical items that he wears at all times in the comics is the cloak of levitation, which is his cape basically that
he
flies.
Has a personality just like the rug from Aladdin.
Yes, that's very
magic
true.
Carpet.
Yeah,
I like that you called him a rug, like
the other
like the genie. I'm talking to a rug.
The other thing that he wears is the Eye of Agamotto, which is
an Infinity Stone.
Well, in the movie,
Arigato, Mr. Agamotto.
In the movie, you do recognize it as an Infinity Stone. And I don't think it's that in the comics, but it does help him, access his powers. So that's Doctor Strange, basically, in a nutshell.
Explain to me because he's not by himself. He's not the only dude in his order. Explain what group he's a part of and what he's defending. I mean,
he was originally part of the original Defenders.
Okay,
it was him, the Hulk, and so like these new Defenders that you really are used to, like the street level heroes, like Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and
it's in New York too, right? He lives in New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing you can't do. Bright lights will inspire you, which doesn't make any sense. When I see bright lights, I don't think like, oh, I'm fucking inspired. I'm normally driving in the wrong lane of traffic.
Damn.
Oops. What's the name of the order? The mystical
Carmitage, I think. Carmitage.
Carmitage
is the place where all the sorcerers basically live. They're headed by the Ancient One, which is also true for the comic version as well. Other people that I think help out Strange at the beginning before turning to evil is Baron Mordo, who in the movies is played by Chadwell Ejiofor.
Yeah, and there is also, and we'll talk about this, there's some seeds planted for Doctor Strange 2 and other types of evil that represents itself. But yeah, I mean, so that's some of the groundwork, some of the foundation for Doctor Strange. Anything else really important from the comic side before we go into the film?
Well, I mean, other than the fact that like these the comics introduce like a whole, like what you said, like it's a whole kind of own different world, kind of like more so like the X-Men. The X-Men kind of play in their own little field, their own little corner away from all of the Avengers stuff because like they're they kind of have to. Same thing goes for Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange has a lot of strange, no pun intended, strange imagery and like weird, freaky, storylines because of you can do that with a character whose powers are literally like just drawing magic from other beings and stuff like that.
Do you think that as Stan Lee was creating these stories, do you think that they were kind of thinking the world was shrinking because they had so many heroes on Earth that they had to explore outside? Or wasn't that
other dimensions?
Ditka also was always into kind of the more fantastical stuff, right?
Right, yeah.
And Jack Kirby,
I think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, I think at this point, I mean, it's the 60s. I mean, I think
psychedelic, baby.
I think Fantastic Four had just been created, and I think Spider-Man was like, right around the horizon. If not, I can't remember. I should probably just look it up. But like, right around there. I mean, so it does make sense, like why Stan Lee wanted to like kind of branch out, and then because he does kind of, even at the time, he was kind of thinking outside the box. So even when he created the Hulk, he kind of wanted to see like a Dr. Jekyll type of Mr. Hyde type of thing.
Yeah.
In this case, you just get like a very powerful magician.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, and right now in the comics, Excuse me. I think he's.
You waited to comment
yeah.
until it was your turn to
I
talk.
know. Yeah, you're welcome. Fuck you. Mark Waid's writing his run right now, and he's fighting Galactus.
Ooh.
Galactus has been unleashed into like another dimension, so now he's eating other dimensional things, and it's affecting him.
Yeah.
In a different way that's never been.
Well, because Doctor Strange draws his powers from other dimensions.
Right, exactly.
So, like, yeah.
So Doc Strange's villain right now, I forgot who he is or whatever, but he sent Galactus to another realm, and now he's again feeding off of that energy, and they don't know what it's going to do. So Doctor Strange is basically pit up against Galactus, and see, that's what he can do.
He
can
powerful,
fight Galactus.
dude.
Yeah,
You're introduced to like kind of like these otherworldly entities too with Doctor Strange in the comics, like powerful villains like Mephisto and Dormammu.
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 The Nightmare.
Well,
these are all really cool like villains
Baron
that
Mordo.
we haven't seen yet.
Yeah,
Baron Mordo.
Oh, well, let's talk about the Doctor
Spoiler
Strange
alert.
film. I was really excited for this movie once they announced who was making it because it was a horror director.
But also Benedict Cumberbatch,
And of course,
cast as the lead.
Ooh, we'll talk about Scott Derrickson and Benedict. Well, before I'm gonna give you some people who were going to be cast as Doctor Strange, other than Benedict Cumberbatch, who seems like a perfect choice.
Yeah. James
just fits
Franco.
in. Okay, let me go down the list.
Okay.
No. Let me go down my list. Okay, I wrote it down. Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker himself. Ryan Gosling, the Notebook himself.
La La Land.
Jared Leto, the Joker himself. Ethan Hawke was considered. Ethan Hawke was in Scott Derrickson's other film, I believe.
Sinister?
Sinister.
You're right.
Ewan McGregor.
You went,
Obi-Wan himself.
yeah.
Oh, no. I think they meant old Ben Kenobi, not Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mysterio.
Ooh, yeah, himself. Patrick Dempsey. Why did I say that like that? I'm so sorry. Grey's Anatomy. Mr. Doctor. Oh, there was
McDreamy.
Yeah.
Boom, you're welcome.
I was gonna say
He's already a surgeon in that.
Wow. There's
No, he's not a surgeon. He's probably
Please
a
don't
doctor.
tell me that they decided to cast him because he already
They're like, I dig it. He's already got the medical following.
Dr. Oz for Doctor Strange. Aidan Gillen, who you may recognize as Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
Littlefinger,
That might have-
Littlefinger, where
I can see that.
are
I
you?
can-
He has a mustache.
Here I am. Here I am.
not what that means.
How
That's not
do you
it.
do?
Nope. That would be interesting. Maybe he just wasn't as famous as he. Ooh, this one you guys would like. This one, Nicolas Cage himself,
Mandy.
Mandy himself.
Do I
he would have
make
been
you Mandy?
an interesting Doctor Strange. But all those people were on the short list to play Doctor Strange, and Smaug himself.
This was obviously
Benedict
over the
Cumberbatch got it.
obviously over the course of years because I think Doctor Strange has been in the works since the 80s.
It's weird
movie,
because I
yeah.
feel like you couldn't have made it until now when the visual effects matched just the vision for what he can do. Because I think like it might have looked a little bit dated.
Star Wars.
Yeah. What?
Visual effects.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean,
No,
but,
I'm just kidding.
this movie was like bending. And some people say still that this is the most
Inception.
visually, stimulating movie of the MCU.
That's what it looks like. Inception.
Yeah, I will say though that when Ant-Man goes into the
Quantum
realm, that's close. That's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that like
John is shrugging the biggest shrug possible.
it's just because like
I guess so.
I think at one point, which is really interesting, is Guillermo del Toro had pitched a version to Marvel before Marvel Studios had technically formed. Del Toro wanted to direct, and he wanted Neil Gaiman to write, and that would have been a very
Spicy.
very, very fantastical Doctor Strange. Apparently, Marvel rejected it because it was too.
Is it pre or post Hellboy?
I think it was like pre Hellboy, or like maybe hold
Probably
on.
in betwixt both Hellboy 1 and 2 and 3.
Oh,
Oh, it was yeah, I guess it was. I mean, when did Hellboy 1 come out? This was in 2007, so like he probably wanted. It was probably around the same time.
The new Hellboy out in theaters today.
It was probably around the same time as that first Hellboy, but like he did want to make a very magical, centered Doctor Strange. And I think a Del Toro version of the movie would have been kind of like very Del Toro-y.
Oscar winning.
It probably would have been like insane, like visually, because like Del Toro has some, but it also probably would have been dark and maybe more rooted in fantasy than the one we got like today.
There also would have been a woman banging a fish creature man.
What was the name
Shape
of that?
of Water.
Shape of Water. Yeah.
How dare you forget the name?
Because
I was going to say Under the Water.
Michael Shannon was great. Go ahead.
the movie that we got now isn't really too. I don't really take it as magic, even though they do mention it as being magic in the movie.
It's more like Green Lantern.
It's very science based,
where it's like,
very-
hey, it's
Yeah.
a construct. It's a whip.
Well, the
that I
whole
can
MCU
conjure.
is weirdly grounded, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
and it's not fantastical. It still has some kind of thing.
Dang.
They try to anchor it to where like it's kind of believable to the point where it's like a science.
It's just that's what Thor paved the way for, where it's like science and magic are like one and the same from my world type thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, if I can believe that Thor's here, then
Different
I
names.
can believe.
different
that-
strokes for different folks.
What?
What?
How many strokes?
2
per folk.
Two chump. Trump. Two Trump. Oh no, I didn't say that right at all.
That's funny.
Yes, but Scott Derrickson is a filmmaker that I follow on the Twitter.
Yeah.
If y'all ever hear the Twitter,
the twat.
he's a very active filmmaker on Twitter.
but I was really excited when they announced that he was going to make it because I thought it was going to be kind of this darker type.
And were you
movie.
disappointed from what you
No,
saw?
I mean, it's my turn to shrug. There's something going on here. No, I still end up liking it a lot.
Sounded like Marge Simpson.
When it came out, did you guys hear a lot of comparisons with this movie and Iron Man for some reason?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's
I saw that.
because of the way he looks.
Really? You think so?
No, I don't know.
That's because of the way he acts. Really,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Or is it just like the hard
What?
plot?
Oh.
Do you think it's just that plot point of someone who had it all losing some of it
And
then
becoming, like,
just
heroic?
becoming
Exactly.
hero?
Yeah.
But I feel like that happens a lot in movies, even not.
right? I think we're.
And
these
also,
kinds
why
of
wouldn't
movies.
you want Benedict Cumberbatch to be the next Iron Man? Like it's to be the next whatever.
Yeah.
You know, he's already a big name star.
Yeah.
He's one of those people that could lead and usher in the new age of the Avengers or whatever.
Well, his eyes are open to everything, so it is
Yeah.
kind of crazy that he would ever face something that he would have trouble with. I mean, other than the snapping or whatever, but
Yeah.
because
the
he's
clapping.
because he has so much power, it's kind of interesting, and I think that's what I really liked about Doctor Strange.
He took Thanos one-on-one, like one of the few that could.
Yeah, and well, I think
Thanos.
one of my favorite parts of Infinity War. Well, no, so I'll talk about my favorite part of Doctor
Yeah, yeah,
Strange
yeah, yeah.
was the ending of Doctor Strange because it's kind of
Wait, are you saying your favorite Doctor Strange moment already?
oh shit, no, well, okay,
You bitch.
sorry, okay, no,
Maybe.
no, I'm just saying that I like the way it ended.
Damn.
I like
Wait.
the way Doctor Strange ended.
Way to put a fork in this podcast.
I
You
did
just
it.
like kind of like
I was like, damn. He's like, we're gonna wrap it up and say our favorite moments.
Say our prayers. What'd you say?
Say our favorite moment.
Oh, okay, no, because I usually cut out the part where we all pray.
Oh shit.
I don't like to mix. I just don't like that.
religion and pop culture.
I just
You're
don't like that, you know. But so I just like the way Doctor Strange ended because it was a very reasonable way for
That movie
the
to end.
movie to end.
And it is a really cool ending because he does like he's looking out the window, looking that his life is really not going to be the same anymore. Like there's still some reluctance there at the very end of that movie.
Yeah.
On what he was actually going to become because he is a very changed man by the time Infinity War comes around.
It's going to be crazy to think about his powers because we really just see him discovering it in Doctor Strange. So later on we'll talk about Doctor Strange 2, but he is able to travel to different dimensions. And we see that in Doctor Strange even when what's her name
The
dies.
ancient one.
The ancient one dies.
He's in the astral plane for like
Yeah.
a while.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy
And
that
she sends him through all the realms.
Oh yeah.
She's like, oh, trippy part. Here we go. Take it. Yeah, drop your acid.
Yeah. So I don't know what. It's really exciting. And is Stanley's cameo in this is him on the bus, right? And he has that book.
He's reading like something on like dimensions.
And
or
I think
something like
that the
like,
importance of that is that's something that they were into when they were creating Doctor Strange. Like they were
Quantum physics.
like
Even to, like,
probably dropping acid, literally,
But also,
'cause
like,
the '60s, and then
and dropping ass.
and then-
and dropping ass,
and then just like being kind of like intrigued by like spiritual healing and stuff like that, which is like at
Ooh,
a-
I don't like to,
Sexual.
John. I don't like to mix that kind of stuff.
that's the core of like what Doctor
healing.
That's the core of what Doctor Strange is.
It's like
Not
the
sexual
sixth
healing,
song
but
you
like,
sang, Andrew.
I know,
Someone
you're
write
just
down all these songs.
You're like a
Yeah.
human jukebox
And
today.
then
you're welcome.
someone call
I just have pop culture references up the wazoo.
someone call the writers to all these things and have them
Lay
sue
off the
Andrew.
cocaine, please.
No.
Drew.
Andrew is coked out of his mind right
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
He's
Like
writing.
crazy.
He's
He's
bouncing
writing
off the walls.
He's writing a screenplay while he's doing the podcast.
with my feet.
It's so good.
with my feet.
Yeah, let's go through all of his side characters. Doctor Strange. We got-
Why'd you
yes,
say side
yes.
characters like side bitch?
I don't know what to say whenever we say sidekicks.
Supporting cast.
Okay, fine. Supporters.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm trying to find him. So, I mean, we can just talk
Wong.
about him right off the
Wong.
back. Wong is
With him in Avengers and in the first movie,
It's
Doctor Strange.
He's a long-term
like,
Wong plays
Brian,
Wong.
yeah.
he's a long-term
so-
friend.
Wong is played by Benedict Wong.
by
actually.
Wong himself.
Benedict Wong?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Benedict
You shut
Wong
up.
is
Wong as Wong.
Wait,
plays
Benedict Cumberbatch, Benedict Wong?
2 Benedicts and 2 Wongs.
Wow. They don't make it right.
yeah. Wong is actually a really cool character. He sticks around into Infinity War if people actually notice him. He's in
He
the comics.
leaves really quickly.
In the comics, yeah. In the comics, he's his valet. Obviously, he's just like a partner in the in the movies. Another supporting cast member is
The Ancient One.
The
Tilda
Ancient
Swinton.
One. Yeah, Tilda Swinton plays the Ancient One.
Oscar
In this
winning.
film, I also kind of got the vibe that she's she's not a villain, but she wasn't very truthful. to
Right,
Dr.
and I
Strange.
like that.
She's a liar.
She looks like One Punch Man. Go ahead.
It's I don't know. Shit, that just threw me my thought off. Sorry.
THOT. Thought.
It is pretty cool because it shows that like things aren't as black and white as people seem they are. Kind of like Baron Mordo. Baron Mordo has like a really big really problem with that. Like
It's the greater
it's-
good.
Yeah, it's bad or it's good. Like it's evil or it's good, and like
Is it black and
ancient-
white or is it a little bit of gray? in
yeah,
there,
the
you
Ancient
know?
One basically like kind of shattered
it-
that notion for him. Like it's not as
Plain.
it's not as simple as people think it is, and I think that's a really cool, interesting dynamic.
Well, it kind of goes along with what power actually is, and because power has no, it just is power, and so you
And it does
interpret
corrupt after a while.
Yeah, and you interpret it as I'm going to use it for good, or I'm going to use it for evil. I mean, and so really that's the subjective part about what Doctor Strange's power is, and so we see people who use it for bad and people who use it for good. I mean, imagine. I mean, and partially this is why Thanos gets his glove, but he thinks he's doing everything for the right reasons. And, from our perspective, we think that it's the wrong reason. So it's the same with Doctor Strange's power is, how you use it and what do you think the greater good is. That's
Right.
very subjective.
I think that's actually really interesting. I think that's why like Doctor Strange's character. Now we can move on to Mordo. Can actually kind of cope with it because he comes from like a
Mordo.
he comes from like a gray area like of like work anyway, sort of like he's kind of like really in it for himself, and so I think he can kind of understand the Ancient One's decision to do that better than Mordo can. Mordo kind of can't really cope with the fact that
there's
she's
no
like,
nuance. It's just this is wrong.
yeah, exactly, and so that's what makes their relationship kind of complicated towards the very end, and then obviously to set up in future movies. Baron Mordo is played by Chadwell Ejiofor.
What's going on with him?
Ejiofor.
What's going on with Mordo during Infinity War, you think?
He's probably
He's probably gone in the snapping.
Isn't
Like I
it-
think it's
You think
just
so?
safe to assume that because they're not furthering themselves in their plans, that they're gone.
or he's like
So
I
when
mean,
they come back, they're like, "All right, now it's time to scheme again."
at the very end of Doctor Strange, he seems like he was going on a vendetta against like sorcerers. So he looked like he was magician hunting, basically.
sorcerers
The Van Helsing.
of sorcerers.
Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing.
Right, of magic, I guess. He was just
Van
try-
Helsing of
Anthony
magic.
Hopkins was also Van Helsing.
That's true.
you bitch.
So Baron
There
Mordo
was
like
also
he
an
was-
animated one in Hotel
know.
Transylvania 3.
Ugh.
I like the fact that Baron Mordo is I don't know why I'm thinking like he's tracking down all these sorcerers, but he's getting to David Blaine and he's probably getting to David Copperfield. Like imagine that. Chris Angel, he's like,
Mind
"Where's your?"
freak.
That's fucking great.
Siegfried and
Houdini?
Roy. Remember Siegfried and Roy?
Yeah, he got mauled by that
they
tiger
don't-
and
yeah,
they
they
stopped
don't-
doing it.
They don't do that anymore.
They don't do it anymore?
because he
No.
got mauled by the tiger.
I mean, but
What? It's just
Workplace
you're just, like,
hazard.
You're trying
You're
to
like
like
OSHA violation.
you're trying to downplay this tiger's attack.
I got to see videos or it didn't happen.
Oh shit.
Let's talk about who else?
Christine Palmer, who's the night nurse in the comics.
Rachel McAdams.
Yeah, Rachel
really
McAdams
great
plays.
actress. She has such a strong ability.
So fetch.
You know what
you
the
would
crazy
say.
thing about
The Notebook.
I just-
Can you imagine if Ryan Gosling got Doctor Strange? Oh my
would've been weird.
god!
Yeah, actually, Ryan Gosling has been put for all these. Like, he's usually like the front runner for most of these comic book movie
I think
things.
DC should snatch him up. That'd be hilarious.
The thing is that he said that he would
As
do
the
him.
Joker. Let's do another Joker.
Well, he almost was the Joker in Suicide Squad. He said that the only reason he didn't do it is because it came with a contract to like. Well,
Do
everything comes
more.
with a contract, but like
He doesn't
to do
like sequels,
more.
yeah.
Yeah. He said like if it was a one and
said
done
no
thing, like he
sequels.
would do it. So Rachel McAdams plays Christine Palmer, who's awesome in this role. Apparently, it's kind of like a. You don't know if it's a love. You think it's a love interest, sort of, or like there's hints of it, but they don't like kind of just flat
do
out
you guys
say
think
it.
her
They were-
role? Do you think her
they
role
were
was
loving it.
underutilized in Doctor Strange?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think she should come out in the Avengers. That'd be cool. Like just for him, like to because you need something to ground him.
Yeah.
Like so that would be
That's true.
one of his anchors, right?
It's really important for her to, I think, be in Doctor Strange too, because without it, he's just. I mean, there's no.
He's just like performing magic shows. Like, and-
Look at this.
Yeah,
Now look over here.
yeah. The disappearing man.
But I mean, I'm hopefully
The bullet
she's
catch.
a part of it.
I just don't want them to like Natalie Portman her.
Yeah.
You know, and that sucked the way she went out.
Oh yeah, that's
Natalie
true.
Portman's a great actress too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so-
Oscar winner, and
Yeah.
like the way she went out, like sucked. I thought I don't know because she becomes Thor in the comics.
It's almost like they can't for like a character like that. I just hope they don't like I guess like the way they're doing with like Hawkeye or stuff like
Hawkeye.
that. Like, it's just like you don't want them to ride them kind of half-assed. But again, there's so much other stuff that's happening. You can kind of tell like which characters
Yeah.
have to like make
That's
the
what I'm
on the
saying.
cutting board.
That's why I'm making the case for Doctor Strange too, because I get it. You know, you have so many characters in Avengers, but in the standalone Doctor Strange, you really can just hone in on him. You know, I think she's partially the. I mean, other than the whole world needing protection from these dimensions, she is also a really important reason to why he's even doing what he's doing. Is there's an actual connection there with a human being, whether or not it's a love interest or not. It's just a really strong connection with a human being, which makes you feel like you have to do the things that you have to do. Without her, I feel like. I mean, you know, it's just a classic superhero thing, where I've got to save the world because. You know, it's what I do.
Yeah, time to save the world.
Again.
Right. Other
Will
The squeakquel.
Will Smith,
other characters include Nicodemus West, who is a rival surgeon to Doctor Strange.
played by the dude from Fargo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Stolbarg.
Yeah.
Good actor.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome
I
actor. Mads Mikkelsen as the villain, Caecilius of the movie.
Caecilius, his villain.
Yeah, Caecilius.
Dormammu.
Dormammu. Caecilius was a pretty sweet. I think those chase scenes through the different dimensions really added a lot for me visually, especially appreciating all of the insane stunt work and stuff they had to do. Those sets that were tumbling and green screens and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
that's pretty cool.
Pretty sweet stuff. And I think we do give it a lot of. We think of it really similar to Inception a lot, but I think there's a lot of. I think this took that Inception kind of idea to the next level.
Right, yeah.
Because instead of Leonardo DiCaprio just sliding down a hallway,
They actually
they're-
did the whole thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's not a surprise to them. Like it's something that they use.
It's actually
for an
happening.
advantage.
Yeah. And it's not
Tactical
like
advantage.
Yeah, it's not so much dreamlike
Yeah.
as it is like just like a tool.
And again, Doctor Strange too. They normally the ideas have to compound, and there's something new. So it'll be exciting to see what's going on there, huh?
Right, yeah.
Things going inside of each other.
There you go. That's
Things going back out, going back in, going back out.
Oh shit, the old
into completion.
The old in and out. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up his supporting cast. I think we just kind of went into his villains
We
too.
did Dormammu.
Yeah,
Dormammu
Caecilius and Dormammu are really his villains
Did you
for
say that
this
it was
one.
played by Benedict Cumberbatch already?
Yes.
Dormammu.
Yep.
No,
So Dormammu is voiced by
no, we
Benedict.
won't say that.
Smaug, voiced by Smaug.
Dormammu is played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Tony Todd recorded lines for it, but they ended up using Cumberbatch.
Damn, John, how do you know that?
Because
I just
he's
read it.
Tony
Oh,
Todd.
okay.
It's
Sorry.
just like
I was like, damn, how do you know the voiceover actor's name?
Tony Todd is
The
a
Candyman.
great. Yeah, he's a great actor.
Willy Wonka makes
no, not that Candyman.
everything he makes.
But he
The horror movie.
apparently he recorded lines for it. And Tony Todd is a respected voice actor
He was
and also
Zoom
as
in
well
The
as actor.
Flash.
Really?
Yeah.
Hell
yeah, he was.
He apparently they decided to use Cumberbatch's voice because of the fact that like Dormammu kind of appears as a dark mirror to Doctor Strange.
It's odd because Dormammu really is more of a villain in Legend until he's an actual literal villain, but for a very small moment at the end.
Right.
Like they talk about him as the kind of like the Cthulhu, like an impending
destroyer of worlds.
To me, he's stronger than Thanos.
Yeah,
because Thanos can go. Because they already kind of proved this in the comic.
Yeah,
Thanos could go over to his dimension and try to use the gauntlet, and it wouldn't work.
Yeah, the gauntlet's only in its own universe. Yeah,
I think there are some cases to be made that Dormammu is the biggest.
That's why I would have trapped Thanos in a time loop like crazy, like real quick. Like this worked.
It worked
in
for
the first
Dormammu.
movie.
You're right.
It worked in the first time. I don't know why this wouldn't work. Just a time loop and him getting crushed by the building by Tony Stark.
Yeah, I wonder what I wonder what advantage the other stones would have given Thanos over
the time
just
one?
a time one. Because I don't know. Like I don't know if it kept in a time loop. What can he possibly
And apparently
the reality stone, I guess, is important. I don't know if he has the soul stone.
The thing is too, like you Strange looked into like 14 million different like futures.
And this
or
is
something.
exactly the one that went according to plan. So everything needed to happen in this movie.
Yeah, so like even
if
he probably would have gotten an advantage with that time stone somehow, but it would have led to their demise.
Like something
after
other.
all.
He's gonna come back and be like, "Told you so." And then,
it's part of the one of this, and this is kind of not Doctor Strangey, but the Soul Stone. I listened to this 2-hour-long damn podcast. I mean, it's good from Collider with the Russo brothers.
I was like,
this fucking podcast by Collider.
Long
I
AF.
thought you meant a damn podcast like Beavers.
Guys on the Damn podcast.
The damn podcast.
Nothing to report today. Another day at the dam. It was really long. It was really good because they went really far into a lot of things. Deep. But they talked about the Soul Stone, and it was kind of. What do you guys think the Soul Stone does, or what does it do in the comic book? Because they didn't really go too far deep into it in the movie.
Yeah.
Other than him getting it, and he just needs it to complete the.
I think it traps people's souls.
Yeah, in the comics, you can control someone's soul. You can bring someone, I think, back from the dead with it because like you got the soul.
Interesting.
Soul power. Soul
they
food?
answered that too. They said it
soul
can't
food?
really you can't really do much visually though, like on a movie, like with that.
Well,
I guess.
What if he just has soul?
They said
brother.
You can change who someone is, and that's what the Soul Stone does. Because I have soul. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like basically, people would become empty vessels,
right?
Because you would remove everything, their personality. And I was like, man, he didn't use that. Really on anyone.
Yeah, I mean, he uses the Soul Stone, I think, once in the movie.
Dr. Strange
against
to
Dr.
identify which one he really is.
Yes, Queen. Queen.
Yeah, he splits up and Gulliver travels Thanos. Like, everyone tie him down.
But you also see, like, when he uses it, like, you see, like, a little, like, mirror image or, like, an after effect, like a ghost, like, kind of, like, jumping back into Doctor Strange. So, like, that's the actual soul that's just, like, rocked, basically, from this.
Yeah. Rocked to its core.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot that we, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, too. Let's wrap up
Let's talk about it now.
Before we talk about Doctor Strange 2, because I think we can go right into that. Any other big things? I mean, Doctor Strange, I think, worked for me a lot. Partially because it was a little bit different with the way it looked, but I think he was a good character, and even though it had some similarities to Iron Man, right. I still think it was different enough.
I think as we get further away, because I mean I've been very vocal about this on this podcast in the season 1. I didn't really enjoy Doctor Strange too much when it first came around. As I watch it more, as I watch more scenes from it, or like I haven't seen it in a while, but like it's kind of aging better. Like I'm kind of actually digging it the more I remember it.
It's ambitious. It's very ambitious.
Yeah, it's one of the only reason I think I've said I didn't like it in the past is because it's very safe. Like I didn't get the full weirdness of Doctor Strange, but you do need to set up a lot of his world before you get to all that strangeness, I guess.
The responsibility that he gains in this, I would say, considerably short span of time is insane. Like the knowledge that he gains, the experiences, and the fact that he can now do all of this stuff happens pretty quickly if you think about it. And what's really special about these Marvel movies, and I think that they've kind of leaned really far into this, is they always add and they always have this kind of thread of humor through the entire franchise now, through every film.
It's like an anchor, really.
And then partially they're like, this is something that we want it always to be fun. And that's why I went in thinking like, oh, here's going to be this dark, crazy, like
almost horror-esque. Yeah.
really cerebral. Things are going to be so crazy and different, and it ended up being like a Marvel movie. But I was okay with that. I was like, hey,
Right.
this is a Marvel movie.
I think that's the whole. I mean, yeah, I was expecting that too because a character like Doctor Strange can lend itself to those things. Like you can throw in the surreal, you can throw in horror if you want because he does fight like demons. Mephisto is like the devil in the
Ghost
comics.
Rider.
it could be like us, honestly. Like you have not like I'm not totally like.
There's another song.
Grab yo. What?
But with doppelganger, like it's what is reality? What are the things?
Right, yeah. And so that's the fact that we didn't get that in that movie. It was very almost a little disappointing for me. And that's why I kind of like have harbored like feelings towards that.
I think maybe
It is a very well made movie.
Yeah,
very well
it's
made
really
movie.
good. And we talk about like the action and all that stuff. It's really good. But it's I think I was expecting. I don't even say darker or grungier because I know it's a Marvel movie. Maybe more mystery.
Mystical, like you're expecting more like Del Toro type of stuff. Like I was kind of expecting something along the lines of like Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
But you know what? The ending was really clever. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the biggest disappointing part for me was that they didn't really do magic. It was more of like, again, the Green Lantern thing, the construct, where it's like, let me make a whip or let me like conjure a sword or a dagger.
You bring up Green Lantern because the villain in Green Lantern
Sinestro
is super similar to, I think, pretty similar to
Yellow.
Dormammu.
Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, like, kind of
Yeah.
he's possessed by an outside force.
Oh, you're talking about Parallax. Yeah, you're right.
He
sort of,
he just eats up worlds.
Yeah, it's true. You're not wrong. But yeah, also just the way they use their weapons, I expected them to do to mess with reality a little bit more.
Because the way he's drawn in the comics, it looks like there's smoke coming out of Doctor Strange's hands, and like
and also like the jump from here to like even the jump from here to Thor Ragnarok, he's so much more advanced and he does more trippy things in that movie than he does in his own movie. And,
That's true.
And even going from he's like teleporting Thor, like you don't even know how he's doing it.
You can break a lot of molds just like narratively, or just the way you cut movies because he can.
Yeah, he like refills his beer out of nowhere, and you're like,
It's like
holy
an experimental
shit,
movie.
it's almost like he breaks the rules in Thor Ragnarok on how to on what he can do. Because like you had no idea, like because everything in the Doctor Strange movie is explained to a science. Like he's borrowing energy from different dimensions. That's how he's making the stuff. But how does he refill the fucking beer like out of nowhere?
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And then
like,
obviously the bigger jump to Infinity War, where he's like throwing like 10 different spells at Thanos, like splitting himself into 100 people, 100 different Doctor Stranges. To me, I just think
He's
that
learned
was,
a lot.
Yeah, that was so
Yeah.
much more than what he did in his own movie, unfortunately.
and that's like the
it's-
almost true Doctor Strange,
Yeah,
like the
for
actual
sure.
character.
Yeah, I feel like I think maybe this was the point of the film is you slowly got to that because I feel like what his character can do was peak what the ending of Doctor Strange was. Like I imagine that they can do something similar to that where you can have the exact same sequence repeat and repeat and repeat until he gets it right multiple times, or just having all these different dimensions play into one thing. I think it's exciting because as we're going to talk about Doctor Strange 2 now, but maybe now that he's there and he's at that point and we know he can do all of that, Doctor Strange 2 can be
even more a bigger trip.
Well, I mean,
and I have a feeling that they've already started filming this and it's already almost
I don't know about that. I
I'd
think it's
imagine
like
most of it could
probably
be like
writing.
a green screen or like a soundstage.
because I follow Scott Derrickson on Twitter and let's just say he's
hasn't posted anything in 2 months.
No, he's-
supposed, but I have the feeling that it's already there, but they're not. You know how they are now.
I think they're writing it. I think that's pretty cool.
Let me call him. Scotty. But yeah, what do you guys expect or what do you guys want in another Doctor Strange film?
I mean, Derrickson already has been quoted during the first movie that if he made a sequel, he would like to bring Dormammu obviously back, but actually make the Nightmare the villain, which is a trippy villain. You know, it's
Who's the Nightmare?
The Nightmare is exactly what it sounds. I'm gonna look up the
Nightmare,
but it is basically like one of the more extreme, like mystical and like
Shadow King.
abstract villains from the comics. It's exactly like you get like into like beings like the Shadow King, which only exist on a different plane of existence, and the Nightmare is basically like a monster that can affect people's dreams.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't put Baron Mordo. I really like the surprise in the first one where you're like, oh, it's only going to be, Caecilius, and then when I saw Dormammu at the end, I kind of freaked out because I didn't think it was going to happen, and then the way he dealt with him was amazing.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you wouldn't use Baron Mordo in the next one, like at least as a scapegoat to be like, hey, he's like a pawn for something bigger, or like whatever.
Yeah, I think he's going to be involved no matter.
Yeah, because it is one of his biggest villains. Is Mordo is in the comics for sure. And then Chiwetel Ejiofor hasn't played really like a crazy big villain like he did in Serenity, and I love to hate him in that movie because he's such a really good bad guy.
I think he would be a good. I don't want to
Scar
say
from The Lion King.
Well, I think he would be a good person that even if he's not the main villain, but could be like whenever they do decide to end Doctor Strange, he would be the final.
So the Nightmare he's the ruler of the dream dimension.
The dream dimension.
So there's such a thing, and
Mr. Sandman.
he is actually he's basically mankind's villain because he's in charge of basically torturing people while they sleep.
Nightmares.
Yeah.
So they do expect
a mare.
Doctor Strange 2 to come out. They're thinking that the earliest it can come out is 2020. That's next year. Oh, Jesus. There are 2 Marvel movies coming out next year, May 1st and November 6th. If it comes out, it would probably be November 6th. But
I can see it coming out 2021.
So, guys, November 6th, line starts behind me, baby.
I do hope we get
train.
into some weirdness there in the sequel. I mean, I can't wait actually because again, the seeds were planted in the first movie, and then the way his character was developed over the course of I guess Thor Ragnarok too. Yeah, Infinity War because it was like Thor Ragnarok. Yeah, he
fought Thanos.
Thor Ragnarok was cool. I guess he had yellow gloves in that one, so it was pretty cool.
At the end. What?
You're right, 2021.
So I'm super excited for Doctor Strange 2, especially if Derrickson is coming back.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, if they have the full cast. The full cast was pretty awesome. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Benedict Cumberbatch,
McAdams.
Rachel McAdams, Tilda Swinton.
We'll see where the world is after
Mads Mikkelsen.
Endgame.
Yeah.
But so I
Can't forget Hannibal.
So what do you think his role is in Endgame, the film that will be coming out in just a nary 2 weeks?
I think he's gonna he's gonna be their biggest advantage from because I think he's gonna find a way hey, I'm in this other dimension, but I found a way to kind of go and talk to you.
You think they snapped him and he's his soul is somewhere or something like
exactly.
that?
He had a contingency because he knew what was gonna happen. So I think he is the one that foreseeing everything is gonna be their biggest help from the people who are gone. Black Panther's not gonna be a help because he's gone, or Scarlet Witch. But I think because he's able to see through multiple dimensions, he might be kind of a bigger piece. So what I think is gonna happen is I think his dead man spell on the stone is still on it. Remember?
Oh yeah, the thing that they couldn't break.
So I think it's gonna either fuck him in the end, or he's gonna come out and be like, "Haha, I told you, I got you, dog."
Ooh.
So I think it's gonna have something to do with it, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I actually totally missed that. That's actually really, really smart. It's probably something attached to it.
Yeah, because I don't think it was on the little thing that was holding the time stone. I don't know what use that would be.
Yeah.
So I think it's on the time stone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I heard from this Collider 2-hour-long podcast from the Russo brothers is they did say that
I kicked a chair.
ABC here, okay? I'm just kidding.
ABC.
Always be closing.
Thanos is super injured, hashtag injured, and that the gauntlet can be used again. And
you can just restore it if you want to.
That's true. Go back. They one of the biggest things too that some fan asked them and they wouldn't answer is some fan asked them. Well, so he's injured. He just got hit with an axe.
Right.
But in that final scene where he's on that farm, he looks fine. Does that mean that time passed or he recovered? And they were like, we're not going to answer that. Bye-bye, baby. So it seems like there is some crazy time jump thing, but we already knew that. So
we do know that.
Something else. Oh, so this is the barf thing. So something that I learned from Don't Get Him Started, that podcast I was on, is some theory that they have that barf. Do you remember what barf is, Andrew? The binary, the thing that Iron Man uses to go back and talk to his parents when he's younger or whatever.
Vomit.
Oh, I thought you meant
actual vomit.
No, I thought you meant from Spaceballs.
Bart, Bay Area Rapid Transit.
Bartholomew, played by John Candy.
But John Candy was so good.
Yeah, Uncle Buck.
So one of the theories that they brought up is Barf is going to be used somehow in Endgame because the Russo brothers, when they made Barf, said that they were going to use that technology again because they weren't just introducing it for no reason. That during the Civil War stuff that they were talking about, and which is interesting because the Russo brothers weren't really planning on making.
Infinity War at the time.
Every single one of the Avengers has their own little barf-like room, and they're seeing all the people who have died throughout the whole cinematic universe.
Sad, yeah.
So you see like Odin and Frigga there with Thor, but and then for other people, you see people that they've lost.
John sent me a picture or a set picture that Barf is on the set.
Barf is on set, or
Barf is on set.
There's cases that say Barf on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's an.
What if they use it
acronym
to
for
trap
something
Thanos
else
in the simulation?
And just trick him, yeah.
Or like, he's like, oh, like what the hell's going on? Like, there's like 10 different Captain Americas or whatever.
Accidentally undoes the snap because of it.
Yeah.
I think worst case scenario is not worst case scenario, but the most minuscule way of using it is just for them to watch things over and over again. Kind of the way that Iron Man is, just to be sad.
What if
the way Strange does it?
What if instead
basically?
of time traveling, that's what they do to go back to the Avengers thing
And
they
just
recreate
like
the whole thing
and replaying the things they could do. You know, it'll be crazy. I mean,
things they missed or something. I don't know.
Excited because I feel like that's going to be a really heavy part of it.
Right, and
I feel
think
like it's going to make me barf.
time travel is like we thought time travel was the obvious thing, but with this barf technology thing, it could just be like theoretical.
Who
which
knows?
Is pretty cool. You got quarters. Awesome.
All this is on video. Just a reminder, you guys can go to patreon.com and see all this happening.
Zoom in on Drew's face right now. Look at this thing.
So what are some other big key things? So we'll talk about Doctor Strange a little bit more before we finish it, but is there any other big Endgame things that you guys are thinking of that's like laying on your hearts? Any big predictions you may have? Or...
What, in the,
one will die.
in the Doctor Strange area?
No,
of
just
things?
overall.
Oh, in general.
You literally only have one other podcast to talk about what you think.
I don't know. At this point, I think we've speculated.
One shall stand.
We've speculated the fuck out of this thing. Like I'm just kind of like I'm just kind of angsty just to want to know what the fuck happens. You know, like
Shuri beats Thanos.
We're at that point. Like there's not much more to say because it's so close to release. I think there's even spoilers on the internet now, like which you have to kind of avoid now.
You know, I asked this of Lex, or I asked this of someone who was on the pod.
Luthor?
I asked Lex Luthor because he invented Facebook.
Luger?
Les Luger. No, I asked him. I believe if he goes
Luger.
into some kind of embargo where he doesn't read anything, or because there are already
Like at all?
Yeah, he can't read. But where because there's already stuff now for toys that are coming out that apparently
that spoil it.
But
yeah.
to be honest,
I don't know when that embargo happened.
There's always toys like that where it's like it shows Batman in a jetpack and it didn't pop up in a movie, and you're like, what?
Yeah,
When
and
Batman
also
use the
Batman's
jetpack?
not in the MCU, so
Yeah, exactly.
he's just like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
What?
The only one that can stop Thanos.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know what the correct, but there are now legit full. So we get access to a
Because
lot
test
of
screenings are going to start pretty soon.
yeah, and so we get access to a lot of stuff for the podcast, and I considered putting them in this podcast, but I'm like, no, because that might spoil it for someone. But for example, we're getting full scenes to air.
Oh, we are?
Like, oh yeah, I saw a scene of Avengers Endgame, and I was like, nah, that'd be so messed up to have that.
Why haven't I seen it?
Just play. You want to see it? Let me log in here.
I'm at the scene, not anything
Let me
else.
log in here. Pornhub.com/endgame. Oh, sorry, endgame.
Yeah.
No, but
Gross.
so I always think about that too in the stuff that we're putting out. Like, what of this is close to being a spoiler to
I
someone?
hope we can
even
look
if
back
it's
on
just
this.
a setup. Yeah.
We can look back on this and be like, look, we were right.
We were totally wrong
Yeah.
or something like
Here's the
that.
thing: the only way we can be right is by throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks and guessing everything.
Oh, you know what? We had this speculative run here whenever we did the first season of Countdown. I
Yeah.
kind of want to go back and listen to see if we were actually right on some of these
I feel like we were
theories.
right on some of the stuff. I think we did. Did we talk? Did we think that there was going to be a snapping, or no?
I think, yes.
Yes,
I think it was
right?
inevitable. Because,
Yeah.
like, you know, that
So
how do you...
it's two parts.
That's the only purpose of the gauntlet is to make it snap
Yeah,
instead of make
exactly.
it clap.
Like,
Yeah.
I think if they did an Infinity Gauntlet storyline and they didn't...
Yeah.
we were just kind of wondering how it would happen.
Yeah.
And the fact that it happened at the very end of Infinity War was like, holy shit. Like, that's
I knew
crazy.
it.
Because I remember...
I freaking knew
It was
it.
impactful.
How the hell are they going to get you to come back to the next one?
That's why I was like, "What's the second one about?"
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah,
just
exactly.
crazy because even just like sitting in theaters and watching it for the first time, you saw Thanos like raise his hand. You're like, he's gonna do it, and then
And
he
what if
actually
he just
snaps.
threw the middle finger like, Fuck you guys.
I'm out. And he just
so
like just
I think
takes off.
I think we think of like, oh, it was going to snap. But I think there is a very large group of people who are like, the whole 2 arcs was stopping him from getting it. Instead of all of the MacGuffins happening in the first movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's possible that, all the Thanos stuff arched across too, which it ends up being. I think it's really funny in this, when the Russo's brothers, so during the Q&A portion of this pod, I keep talking about this pod that I listen to, but it's really, really good.
Go marry that pod already.
I will. And then I'll fuck it. What? And then like a book. But so there was the audience members, they were all like hardcore Marvel fans, of course.
Yeah.
And so one of them had a list of discrepancies that they were just reading off.
grievances.
Grievances. And those took it in stride. They had answers to everything.
Oh my God. Man.
Which was really...
Those poor guys, like those poor brothers.
I mean, one of them was just like...
one of them was like, do you guys even read the books?
One of them is like a time difference between like, I think just Iron Man and Spider-Man, how it didn't line
Homecoming
up.
and Civil War.
Yeah, or something like that. And I think the Russo brothers they were very cool about it, but they're like, we were right.
They're like, hey,
and they're like,
movie.
wait, we were right? They're like, yeah, I mean, like, we didn't make Homecoming.
They're like, Sony
Yeah,
fucked
exactly.
it up.
They're like, ours is right. And that was really cool. I think some people really brought a lot of, and it's a meme of all the times that they could have killed Thanos in Infinity War.
Right, yeah.
But it's intentional. They're like, it's super intentional. Like, it's these people's need for revenge, like...
blinds them.
Yeah, like their need, because they're superheroes in their own stories. They're superheroes. They could take the time to look the bad person in the eye and say, "This is why I'm doing it," and then kill you. And Thanos is a whole different.
It's just so much bigger than all of them.
It's bigger than all of them, and so when they do the things they normally do, it's
very weird for them. For things to not go their
way, yeah. And for example, I think someone brought up specifically the Thanos part, and they're like, he didn't hit the arm because he wanted to tell. They were like, why didn't she just cut off his head or his arm or something?
Or his arm or something.
But he's like, no, for Thor, this was something that was really important for him, and he wanted to tell.
He was blinded by revenge.
Yeah, he wanted to, and
revenge.
he's like, this is the whole thing of the movie: is these characters have these different motives and these different things that they want and intentions, and it shows the movie. I was like, damn, well, okay.
It kind of clashes, yeah. And also for like actual practical reasons, you don't want to cut the fucking head off of a character that's going to like, yeah, exactly,
for a Disney movie, right? But So I was like, man, this is really cool. That's why I'm so excited. And they say that they intentionally, and I was interested to hear about how they got the role too, because that's what the very first question was like. How do you even interview for a job like this? Like, what do you? Like, what's the pitch that you have? Like, what is the thing?
Do they have a pitch?
So this was their thing. They were like, it was actually really natural because of the fact that they made Civil War. The first thing that happened was they made Winter Soldier, which really impressed Marvel because Winter Soldier was a very difficult storyline because it had Hydra. And basically, it was going to turn everything on its head. Like, S.H.I.E.L.D. was going to be fucked after this.
And they balanced that tone into like almost like a very well-made political thriller.
And so they were really happy about it. So they were like, okay, this is really good. So when they decided, well, can we do the Civil War storyline? They had already built that trust with Feige. And so Feige was like, all right, cool. Like, again, this is a very difficult storyline. Like, this is not simple at all. Like, you're going to make our 2 best superheroes fight. And the Russo brothers like, yeah, I know. Like, it's kind of crazy, but they dive into the deep end of movies. Like, they wouldn't do it if it wasn't, I don't want to say difficult, but, complicated.
They wanted them to be broken before this movie almost.
And so that's why I'm so excited about Endgame, because these guys,
they're going to come
together. They like this
right now.
They love the plot. They like the story. And so after they made Civil War, they sat with the writer and of Infinity War and with Feige, and they were telling them. So they didn't even pitch anything. They were just saying, okay, this is where we left things on Civil War. So this is where it could go. They're like, okay, this is where we ended it, so that you could do this later on. And they had to do that with all the characters. Because partially Marvel was like, okay, where are you leaving our characters at the end of this?
Yeah.
And so they told them, like, this is where we're leaving them. You can go these different places. And after that conversation, they were like, well, shit, why don't you just do it? Because here you've got them to this point. why don't you just finish it? Like you've already thought out what could happen because you've left these loose ends so that someone could time up.
Right.
And they're like, okay, cool. And what's really good too is because they worked in TV, they understand the schedule of shooting something really quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
There's 2 of them, which is really great because they're a sounding board for each
Hermanos.
other. Double. And because we knew that they were shooting these together, but this is kind of like filmmaking nerd stuff. But the whole film was going to be shot all together, not back to back. And by that, it means they would shoot a scene from part 1 and then the scene from part 2 the next day, and then the scene from part 1 and then a scene from part 2. And 4 months into pre-production, they realized this is going to be crazy, not just for production, but also for the actors. Like, can you imagine being like, I'm going to do this scene, like, super happy, and then, the snap happened in this
They
one.
have to jump between arcs, and it's, like, very difficult for, like,
dead.
Yeah.
You're dead, you're not dead.
And so they started to, like, say, okay, well, let's shoot the first one, and then shoot the second one. But they filmed for an entire calendar year, which is that is a long
That's insane.
shoot. That sometimes they were sick, and then they also filmed around actors' schedule. So they basically said a lot of times those actors are not in the same room.
Oh, we can
with
tell.
each other.
I mean, if anyone can watch Infinity War or any movie, like, I mean, a very recent example of this would be Glass.
or Arrested Development.
Or Arrested
season
Development, yeah, even more obvious in that case. Season 5.
5.
more,
Oh, yeah.
But you can totally see that. I mean, that's why, like, Infinity War is literally, like, you get literally 5 minutes of Strange
You're
and,
like some
and
people
Stark.
are on Titan, some people are on Earth.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like
Second unit, first unit.
That's
Yeah.
how you kind of spread out your characters and your actors in this case, and you can totally see that in the first Infinity War movie. And I guess Glass. The only reason I bring up Glass is because I think we talked about it. Did we? We talked about Glass at one point.
The squeakle.
Oh shit, maybe not.
Maybe not.
But there is a part where Bruce Willis is never in the same shot, like face wise, as
James
like
McAvoy.
as James McAvoy or
That's true. Yeah, he's off doing something else.
yeah. They show the back of his head, and they show like
Bald.
Samuel L. Jackson and they show Samuel L. Jackson and McAvoy kind of like talking to each other. They show their faces, but like Bruce Willis is like just turned like straight forward,
Yeah.
like you
Green
can't see his
screen.
face. And then whenever they do show Bruce Willis, it's a close up. It's
Yeah.
not like anything
Well,
else.
that's probably this times however many actors.
Yeah, exactly. Because everybody on
they have.
this movie are like A-list actors. So like their schedules are incredibly busy.
Oh yeah, and
Like,
they're really sought after, and what's really insane is that they're able to do it all. And they said one of the biggest benefits is they were editing Infinity War while they were shooting
Endgame, yeah.
And Marvel did let them like come back and shoot some extra stuff, but they were very adamant that they're like, well, most of it's on paper. Like we really didn't do a lot of extra. Like,
So
maybe we should change this.
they
like,
planned it out
like
to
that.
a T, basically.
Yeah, and basically one of the things they said is we sometimes do go back and film extra scenes, but we end up just cutting them afterwards because they're like, oh, we
because
didn't
it disrupts.
really need
It disrupts. Yeah.
and there's this really, and this is like uber nerdy thing, but because the obviously it's a 3-hour long movie, and they said the trick to getting it that short, which is already kind of crazy, but I guess a lot happens in this movie, is something that they did in Community, which was they took one frame from every shot, because it adds up. So they're like, okay, well, this movie is 3 hours and 30 minutes long. If we take one frame from every shot, it's now 3 hours 15 minutes long. Take another frame from just like literally a second from everything.
Yeah, because like that time adds up. So like there's like instead of having like a David Lynch in like scene where like a guy's staring at a broom, and it's
my God,
intentional.
what are you talking about?
Oh wait, I don't want to spoil this for you. But yeah,
There's
and then
a broom?
You take stuff out from that. You know what I mean? Like you as soon as we're done talking, like if this was like an Avengers movie, you would.
Yeah.
As soon as we're done talking, like you just cut away,
Yeah.
because like and then that's what saves you time.
I'm just so excited. Oh shit, we forgot to do our Doctor Strange favorite moment.
Oh, sorry, we just got really into like the filmmaking.
Okay, we'll
of it.
be back.
That's really
for that.
that's really awesome though. Like that's stuff that me and I guess all of us here live for is like the filmmaking part of this movie. It's just insane the way and the fact that it came together. So we don't know because we're not on the production side, but like it seems like it came together like very very well.
Yeah, I think
Like,
that's
very well.
the benefit of just their experience And I think just the way that they're able to, because there's just so much planning that happens in this movie.
It seems like you
difficult.
actually have to. You can't be like a Cronenberg type of person where you're like, figuring stuff out on the spot, like, because like that's not going to fly.
Yeah, especially when there's so much writing on this thing where going over budget means millions and tens of millions of dollars.
Right, exactly.
Let's talk about our favorite Doctor Strange moment. I'll go first.
Nope.
Let's see. What was my favorite Doctor Strange? Let's see. Now, my favorite Doctor Strange moment. I'll just talk about it. It's when the Ancient One punches him, and you go through all of the
dimensions.
and
they bring him back, and he's
got
like, he's still fine.
And everyone knows that scene by
Good
now.
scene.
But that's
Great
my
scene.
favorite.
And IMAX 3D was amazing.
Oh,
Very
you
good
have
scene.
IMAX money?
What?
At the dollar screens, it was good too.
Yeah, like on the bootleg
Nice.
VHS that I saw it on.
With the Russian subtitles, it worked out pretty all right for me.
Yeah,
bud.
people kept getting up during the middle of the movie.
Someone was coughing.
So my favorite Doctor Strange moment before John steals it is obviously his fight with Thanos.
Fucking hell.
All of it. It's really cool the way it's set up because he like flies down and Thanos is like looking, and it's almost like a round one fight type thing.
Doesn't it look like some of the comic book stuff that he would do?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, he conjures up like everything. He throws the mirror dimension at him, and
He shoots like this beam out of his hands, like into
he shoots it into the ground, and it's almost like
It bounces,
like magic roots, like growing towards Thanos. And of course, he shoots like the Power Stone at the Power Stone energy at Doctor Strange, and it's really really cool because Doctor Strange is able to block it and throw it into the mirror dimension, and throw the mirror dimension at Thanos, and then Thanos shatters it, and then kind
With
of
the
throws
black
it into
hole.
like a black hole and throws it back.
We see so many more powers in just that short.
Oh, and then Doctor Strange throws it into like the Mary Poppins, like the butterflies, where it looks like something out of a cartoon, a Disney cartoon, flying at Thanos. And it's really really cool to get Thanos' powers, like to see Thanos' powers diminished like that. Where it's like, I just threw a black hole at you, but I just threw it back at you as butterflies.
And it's weird because, I feel like Thanos just barely got that Reality Stone, and Doctor Strange has
been doing
this
for a while.
for a while.
It's really really cool to see someone keep up. I think he's like him. If they had obviously him, Scarlet Witch, Vision at full power, and on the same team, then they would have killed it for sure.
Oh my gosh, bookmark Scarlet Witch because. There's some stuff we got to talk about too.
WandaVision.
Wanda.
WandaVision.
Yeah.
John, what's your favorite?
He also splits into 100 of himself, and that was the cool part too.
What's your favorite Doctor
the-
Strange? I was going to say Jon Snow moment. Doctor Strange moment.
Jon Snow moment.
nothing.
You just took my favorite Doctor Strange moment. So like I can't.
There's quite a bit, but there's not an
He's
insane
gonna say,
amount.
I'm gonna answer for John.
The car crash.
Damn.
That was a good car crash.
Whoa, I mean, as far as car crashes go,
Crazy.
that's actually a very,
His hands
very
go into the dash.
powerful like scene with that. I think the
When he dies, there's a fight in that surgery room. Remember?
I think
Pick the Dormammu one.
I'm not gonna pick the Dormammu one. I
Come
think
on,
like
just do it.
I do like the reveal of Dormammu in that movie, which is pretty cool because I didn't think we would actually see him. I do like the reverse fight that's happening in that movie. The special effects are kind of crazy. It's basically a fight that's happening while everything else is rebuilding
Caecilius?
itself.
Yeah.
He's fighting Caecilius in the streets.
Oh yes,
That's a really cool sequence.
That is really cool. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I concur.
That'd probably be my second favorite moment because Drew took my first. So
Well, and I think those are just like some of the things that make this movie stand out. And I mean, we nerded out about the production of Endgame, but you can kind of nerd out about the production of Doctor Strange because you do have these elements. Now you're messing with time, and we feel like it's all this new, crazy, cool effect stuff, but it's actually a lot of old school.
yeah, like old school
film
photography,
stuff,
where
like
you
old
just
school magician stuff, where you would put up a blanket and then move something, and then it's gone now. Like,
That's
it's
exactly-
pretty old
yeah.
school Edison type stuff.
because that is like a very simple all that's happening. It looks very complicated. It's a
Yeah.
very simple
Like reverse
camera
something.
trick. Yeah, exactly. Like you just shoot footage and then
Yeah.
you just have other footage, basically like
On top of it.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Really cool.
Cinema, am I right,
Mm-hmm.
y'all?
Cinema. Y'alls.
Yeah. I mean, anything else with Doctor Strange before we just,
See where he's gonna end up. Well, it's very easy to see where he's gonna end up. 'cause-
Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah, exactly. There's a second movie coming
there
out.
has to be.
Yeah, he'll survive for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we already know like versions of him survive elsewhere. I just really hope that they're able to bring him some humans to play with for Doctor Strange 2.
Too. Yeah.
It's really awesome that he saw Endgame in the background of that scene and he didn't spoil it for anybody. Respect.
Respect the man.
He did actually. He said we won.
Yeah. What?
He says like which are you talking about like
Damn.
Doctor
In
Strange?
Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he like
watching all the realities.
he says like which one do we win? And he says one. So
You see him like start celebrating. Wouldn't that be funny? Like, what are you doing?
Yes.
He's like, this is the one we won. Like, I know what to do.
It's kind of it's wild.
that was spoiled already. Then
I mean that even just that line is really important because
We're in the end
because
game
he's like
now.
above everyone else to where he knows.
He already knew the title
already
of the
know.
movie
How
before
is he not-
everybody.
how
He's
did he-
like, it's Endgame.
how did he not
let
go
me
insane?
let me go on a
Let me
podcast.
spoil it for you.
Let me start a podcast.
He
Dr.
went through
Strange.
14 million different like possibilities. How is that guy not insane?
Which isn't true because we heard that the Russo brothers filmed 5 different endings. So,
that's true. So
which one of those is?
Yeah, they missed 5. He missed 5.
It's so crazy because he's like, imagine how much mentally he's aged. He had to go through like all his lives.
Yeah.
And like in all
And
of
then
these different
infinity,
things.
too, like,
yeah, so he's
an
like,
infinite amount.
my brain is 400 million years
Yeah.
old.
He needed a break right after that. He's like, "Hey, you guys got Thanos right for this first round."
He's like, in some realities, we only lasted 5 minutes. But in some, we lasted a whole lot longer, baby.
Well, I'm excited for Doctor Strange too. I think
sure.
he adds a lot of
Versatility
Oh,
to the
yeah.
team.
An
He's like
insane amount
Ant-Man,
of
where
it. Yeah.
like you don't really... There's nothing like him.
Yeah.
In like, you know, you can fight on Earth all you want. So that's why I think it's really smart that they're splitting people up. Like Hawkeye's getting his Disney Plus show.
Who's
and
the most
stuff.
powerful so far of the MCU that we've seen? Is he's got to be up there, but Captain Marvel's up there too.
Yeah, Cap Marvel. They confirmed that she's the strongest.
Captain
Oh,
Marvel,
really?
yeah.
He
In
went
terms of
above-
like,
I mean, I guess if you're talking about strength, because I mean,
Doctor Strange doesn't really do anything.
Doctor
Fight,
Strange
yeah.
can sling ring her into another dimension and she's done.
Yeah,
she
that's true. That's true.
can't come back.
yeah, I mean, he can. But Captain Marvel technically is
Yeah.
the strongest person. In,
Weakest? Who's the weakest? Iron Man. Just kidding.
the weakest?
Yeah.
Probably Happy Hogan. John Favreau himself.
Oh, no, never mind. We'll talk off pod about this.
Off pod.
Yeah, it's a performance review.
Off
I'm
pause.
just kidding. No. Well, anything else you guys want to add to this episode?
Nope.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered all of what we wanted to say on
Way
Doctor
to go,
Strange.
Benedict Cumberbatch. You really knocked it out of the park. Sorcerer
Cumberbatch,
Supreme.
you're so good.
You need a pizza named after you.
You've already played so many great people. Julian Assange from WikiLeaks.
You got caught recently.
You had to start there.
Extradited.
Who else did you play? I can't think of anyone else that he played.
He's 12 years a slave, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes.
Holmes. Sherlock
Of
Holmes.
course. Smaug.
He was also
No.
Khan.
I just saw his Brexit.
Oh, he was fucking Khan.
He's got to be in that Star Wars next.
No, he's not.
No, I'm saying he's got to be.
No.
He could be Smaug.
In Star Wars, a
Yeah.
space dragon.
He needs to be the new C-3PO.
Yeah, Star Wars needs some space dragons. They need some more like
and
some more
creatures.
Yeah,
They're going to fight a
more space
quasar.
creatures.
I love that. Honestly, I mean, Solo gets a lot of heat,
Hate.
but
Oh, the Kessel Run.
That Kessel Run, bro.
The queso run. The queso.
gotta get that queso,
yeah.
baby.
Tostitos.
That
3
Kessel
bags of
Run's
Tostito
really good.
scoops.
Well, guys, yeah, what do you guys have to plug?
What?
Plug me.
Oh, shit. Turn these cameras off. Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Now, if you like Doctor Strange, then hit us up. Hit me up, specifically. H&F. Comics.
Heroes and Fantasies. Does it matter which
You
one they
say
go
his
to?
and fantasies? Heroes and fantasies.
Heroes and Does it matter which one they go to? Do you want them to go to a specific one or not?
Doesn't matter.
All right, yeah, go to any
We
of
got
them.
3 locations. What's
There are
up?
3 locations, but I will say one of them is right outside of a movie theater.
It's very true. When you watch it, you can come see me.
Yeah.
Tell them Large Marge sent you. You're welcome.
John, what do you have to plug?
Oh,
I'm out this bitch. I'm just kidding. Drop the mic.
Listen to all your Delphin Pod podcasts. Listen to Don't Get Him Started. Don't Get Him Started. The podcast.
Good show.
Yeah, it's a good show.
There's an episode that I'm on. I think I said that at the beginning, so I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, for sure. We had a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it
And
was.
we even had the Star Wars celebration. Shout out to
Corey,
yeah, so
yeah,
thanks,
Corey.
Corey, for going to Star
Yeah.
Wars
You the man,
celebration.
You the man, and you the man.
and getting all that sweet footage and just representing Delphin Pod down
Represent.
there, up there in Chicago, Chi-Town, baby.
Yeah, we are definitely jealous because that's pretty crazy.
because
God, I can't imagine. Like, the trailer's great, but imagine seeing the trailer and
Imagine
then seeing Ian McDermott,
Stephen
like, pop out
Colbert
there.
just there.
Colbert Report, baby.
Yeah, obviously, check out your Delphin Pod podcasts. Listen to your Sticker Fridge podcast as well.
We're doing a thing with them soon.
We are. We don't want
doing
to
a
announce
thing.
it real quick, but it's we'll have a formal time to announce it. But it's going to be pretty fun. We're going to do a
We're
little
gonna
bit
do
of
this thing so hard with them too.
So, an Infinity War was the most ambitious crossover ever, and then we're going to top that.
we're going to one up.
Yeah, exactly. In a giant crossover event.
We're crossing
which-
over with the Avengers. That's right. We are going to be in the movie podcasting.
Well, also just a great time to announce that Disney just bought us. So
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. 'Cause
so we're all fired.
Yeah, exactly,
Well,
yeah.
we're part of Fox. So
Yeah.
we got merged into that bitch.
So yeah, listen to all of their shows, and secretfridge.com is good too. Brian was on an episode maybe a couple of weeks ago.
He called in because he was avoiding us. He was like, I don't want to go on there anymore. So he
but
decided
he was
to call for
he was
us.
physically here in the studio, and he did a podcast
When?
here.
Picture didn't happen.
I think there's a video of
Pics
it.
of his feet.
Oh yeah,
where
he
it
was on
didn't
the
happen.
on the listener mail. Him and Sean.
Yeah, and it was really
Shout
cool.
out to everybody who's been helping us with the listener mail.
Oh,
like
really
Lex
nice.
and
Yeah.
Sean and Brian and
Yeah,
all that good stuff. Sophie and it's all
A lot of good people. A lot of
Yeah,
good people
for sure.
awesome folk.
But yeah, so listen to this pod. I forgot. Oh, so okay. Let me look at my list.
They could see you're not looking at a list on the
If you-
cameras.
oh, sorry. If you like Game of Thrones countdown to spring, we'll post all that everywhere. But that is going to be a limited run. All the new episodes of Game of Thrones, the final season.
We're gonna talk about it all in context. So
and,
we're
how,
not,
and
we-
how does it
we
fit
can-
in the MCU?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's going to happen to Jon Snow in Endgame?
What happens when winter comes and it comes hard?
You know what's crazy? The Russo brothers confirmed that all of the Asgardians got cut in half again.
like cut in half, like Dewey Cox.
No, like
His brother?
No, someone asked him like, okay, so
Well,
we
half
already-
of them died,
Half of
is
them
what
already
you
died. Then another quarter of them got killed, and he was like, yeah, well then they got cut in half again.
Yeah,
Everyone's
true.
like, damn.
Yeah.
Just no love for those Asgardians, technically.
For that Asgardian.
So yeah, the Game of Thrones podcast countdown to spring. Revenge of the sequel. I think the last episode we announced that Lex is going to be the editor in chief of that, but we're all going to be writing for it. Revenge of the sequel. Find it on the Apple News app. There's stuff there about Star Wars Celebration right now, and then Secret Life of Pets 2, I think, is there or something.
Kevin Hart.
There's a lot of work there.
Hey, it's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
Yeah,
It's a sequel.
exactly, yeah.
Revenge of the sequel will be coming back soon. That's the thing that we were talking about. That's really exciting.
Oh, you just spoiled it. No, I'm just saying. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's no surprise. Yeah.
I can't think of
Star
what the
Wars
other thing
question
is.
mark?
Star Wars question mark. We'll
Oh,
see.
yeah.
We got to
We'll
talk
see
John
about
into
that.
it.
Yeah, maybe we'll see.
Well, guys, have fun this week. I know you guys love these really long ones because you get to hear so much about Endgame. So we're gonna do another 2 hours,
Yeah,
maybe.
everyone always likes a long one.
Oh God. But Endgame, just a couple weeks. How exciting!
Right,
Share
yeah.
with us how you watch it. I think we should start giving out the phone number on the next episode, probably.
Yep,
but
we're gonna
Yeah,
give out our
just
phone
start-
numbers.
Just to start. Yeah.
911.
Also, just a big thank you to everybody who's actually listening.
Yeah.
it's
And now that
awesome.
we're coming to the end of our journey,
Yeah.
we're getting a little nostalgic and
We're
reminiscing.
all crying now.
Yeah, they can see we're not crying. We're on camera.
Oh, sorry.
Stop lying to them. I'm just kidding.
We're all recording in separate rooms with our backs turned toward each other. 'cause
Yeah, we're all
we hate each other.
CGI'd in. We're all-
CGI in.
Yeah, recording via green screen.
But yeah, just really exciting. And soon all of this speculation will be put to a rest because we'll see what I think is just going to be a really good movie no matter what.
Maybe.
Right,
What if it sucks?
I don't think it does.
Could you imagine?
Nope.
Wouldn't that be the worst?
I think there will be some divide anyway, like
Yeah.
on how things
Do you
are
think it's
handled.
gonna be the best Marvel movie?
I don't know. I was asked what my favorite Marvel movie was, and I was like, "There's room for
You're like
Endgame."
Iron Man 2, probably.
There's room for Endgame to be my favorite or my least
Worst, yeah.
favorite. Who knows?
Because Infinity War technically isn't my favorite Marvel
Yeah,
movie,
exactly.
even though it's still
It's
pretty
true.
cool.
I will honestly, at the end of the day, judge both these movies together.
But
I will
like-
not.
Really?
think of them
Oh,
se- I
wow.
don't think so.
You
I
don't
think
think of
this one
separately?
has to be like one of those things where they have to look back because again, it's not going to be the same.
Looking
so they have to
back.
like reminisce and like
Yeah.
it's like the series finale
Yeah.
where they have all these things come full circle.
Like a
and
clip show
You have to
or
wrap
sort
it
of.
up, and you have to go visit these different times and the
I
different
think there's
movies
going
and
to
the
be
different characters
two
that have
big.
died.
There's going to be two big judgments. There's going to be the objective judgment of like this was a good movie or it was a good bad
and
movie.
you have to go watch it two
And
more
then
times
there's
and
this-
then like, huh?
There's a super subjective thing where it's like my favorite hero died, and that
Yeah.
will really dictate how you feel about it.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that is going to be a really important thing. I don't.
War
I'm
Machine
not-
dies?
Huh? Your favorite hero? War,
I thought
War Machine?
I thought your favorite hero was
What
War
is
Machine.
wrong with you?
I thought your favorite hero was War Machine.
My favorite hero is Groot.
Groot.
Great. I'm just kidding. I don't know what my favorite hero is.
Gamora, she's already dead. Cool.
I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so super exciting stuff. Can't wait to hear from everyone and talk to you guys about Endgame as it comes out. But until then, we'll see you
In your sleep.
at the movies.
In your dreams.
Yeah.
In your sleep. That's pretty funny.
I dream movies.
We'll
That
see
works
you
out.
in your bed.
I feel like we need a fourth person.
Why?
I don't know.
Are we not enough for you anymore?
It's just, it's set up.
You don't like the devil's three-way?
There's a
I'm sorry, it's
microphone
called a
here.
pitchfork. Because we're 3 dudes.
Later, guys.